So somebody said to me the other day in Dubai, a Christian, he said, Papa, how come these Islamic countries or nations are really prospering and doing very, very well than Africa? And I said, there are a lot of dynamics to it, but one of the things that you must understand is that they are also walking in the Abrahamic blessing, because God said to Ishmael, he said, I will bless him also. He said to Abraham, I will bless Ishmael. I will bless him even though he's not Isaac, the promised seed, because he's your seed. He came out of your loins. He also I will bless, and 12 princes will come out of him. So Ishmael was blessed, and so there is no reason why Ishmael shouldn't be blessed, because God said I will bless him also, and 12 princes will come out of him. So that makes a lot of sense why they are prospering. Now if you look at you and I, apart from the fact that you and I are the first believers in our family, and so if we serve God right and establish covenant blessings in our bloodline, generations after us can also walk in that covenant blessing. You realize that if you look at a nation like Israel, they've turned the desert into a modern day city because of the blessing of the Lord. For the Bible says it is the blessing of the Lord that maketh rich. If you look at some of our families, since God said let there be light, nobody in our father's house and in our mother's house have ever served the Lord before. And if you look at our bloodline carefully, they serve other gods, strange God. None of them serve the living God. So they were void of the blessing of the Lord. And it is your generation and my generation that has brought about a change. You and I are generational, we are carrying generational blessings and curse breakers, breaking certain curses and covenants of the fact that in our bloodline, our fathers and our grandfathers did not know the Lord and they didn't serve the Lord. And therefore, instead of the blessing of the Lord that maketh rich coming on the family, it was rather curses, which has serious implications over individuals, over families, and even over nations. There are certain patterns as we go ahead, you will see that happens in the life of individuals, in the life of families, in the life of nations, and even in the life of churches. I preached in a church many years ago in America. I won't mention the name of the city. And something happened to that pastor. Everyone who was anyone in the body of Christ, all the generals of old that I worked with, all preached in that church. And I used to preach in that church, and something happened, and the pastor lost the church, and he had to sell the building to another pastor. And this pastor was very young, and he had this great following. So I went to preach for him. And I said to him one day, I said, there's a history about this church, and you need to break that pattern. It's a pattern. You need to break it all, and that history may repeat itself again. He didn't take me very serious, and I left him. He was a very good teacher, very intellectual, and most times these guys who are brilliant with the letter of the word can ignore the spirit, and forgetting that the Bible said that holy men spoke as they were moved and inspired by the Spirit. And so I left him alone. Years after, I went to that city preaching for another church, a friend of mine. And while preaching, I saw these pastors sitting somewhere at the back. And after the preaching, I told the protocol to ask him to see me. So he came to see me. And I said, what are you doing here? He said, well, I heard you are in town preaching in this church, so I came to listen, but we need to talk. So I invited him to my hotel, and he came and he said, you remember what you told me? I said, yes. He said the same thing had happened.